Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast, where it's an emptier room for a difference. It feels a bit strange, nobody separating me and Kieran, but it's what we've done tonight to get us back on track for 2025. We come to you for the very first time this year from the beautiful G4 Claims studio, and hopefully another big year on the cards for us here at the podcast, for Celtic Football Club, and for you viewers. It's good to be back, Kieran.
It is. I mean, just looking at ourselves in that camera there, we look like the two worst news anchors in this country.
This is what GB News has been looking for.
Oh, aye. Should we start it in?
We'll start our own station. GB News is taking, what was that one we're talking about? Talk TV.
Talk TV.
What else is there's what's that one? LBC, is it? They're quite big.
They're big, but I feel like they're not as... I don't know.
We can take them on.
Oh, aye.
We're not right-wing radicalists, just to make it clear. We will be changing the direction of the politics on the show. But it's good to be back here, and even if it is just the two of us, I felt like it was important that we came in and got routine started.
Mm-hmm. First one of the year, I mean, as you said, low turnout, but
yep.
I mean, we could have done one after the defeat at Ibrox, but where's the fun in that?
I don't think any of us were willing to track ourselves at this.
What's that fuck? But...
Put it bluntly, that's the year.
But I mean, that's your first episode, so like I'll lump it.
I mean, it's a big year again. Last year was great, by the way. So first of all, Happy New Year to all the viewers, and I know we're a bit into the year now. It's a bit too late for the handshakes and whatnot. But yeah, it was a great year. I think we got over something like 260,000 views over the course of the year on all episodes of the podcast. That's just YouTube alone. Spotify, we are racking up the 5-star reviews, thanks to you guys. If you haven't done that, please go over and do that. It was a fun year, and of course we got a new podcast member along the way. Any highlights of 2024 before we put it firmly behind us for good?
Well, in the podcast,
no, just it could be Celtic related ideally, but even on the podcast.
I mean, we'll go recent and we'll go for the League Cup final win. I thought you were genuinely asking me. I'm mad. As soon as I leave, as soon as the recording's done, I don't remember a fucking thing I've said. I must contradict myself on this show about a million times.
The highlight of sitting in a studio on a Thursday night, I don't think there's that many.
Nah. I mean, there's been a few funny moments along the way, but I've got early onset.
I think we all do. That's what we always do in the quiz, don't it? We get who scored in the 3-2 win last year. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. And I'm sure we'll have... Look, listen, before we get into the things we need to talk about, to make a couple of things crystal clear, of course, with two of us, there won't be any quizzes today. We'll dedicate more time to your questions and the Q&A. We'll hopefully be back to normal. Essentially, Calum and Dylan both have work tonight, and sadly, they cannot get off work for the sake of our podcast. We're not that big yet. I can't pay them the amount that we'd get paid for a shift in work. So, on that note, we should probably start the year by talking about Celtic, Kieran.
I mean, it's probably the best way to kickstart a Celtic podcast. But
unless you want to talk about the Simpsons again.
We'll save that for the Thunder Club. I mean, if you go back and start the year, it's a bit of a sore one to take at Ibrox. But I mean, we've bounced back for that, I feel. I mean, maybe the performances haven't been amazing, but you've got the results, that's all that matters. And you've seen across the city, they drop points straight after the
Is it a shock
win.
there for you?
I've said this to people in work, and that I expected them to drop points, but I didn't think it would have been the game after it. But I thought maybe the night, the game against Dundee, for the people watching this in the coming days. But nah, it doesn't surprise me, but I think that it happened straight away. It did surprise me a wee bit when they went 2-0 up in that game. I thought,
you thought it was going to be
a routine.
I thought it was going to be a I thought we were going to wipe the flare with him, just to be quite frank. I was tempted to turn it off, but I stuck with it, and thank God I did.
But, I mean, even with us as well, it was needed to bounce back for that game, because I feel like the overreaction, I feel like that's the word for it. There was an overreaction. The way I put it when we spoke about it in the chat, I'm like, it's no the end of the world. I went into this game saying, if we got beat, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's obviously never nice to get beaten by our rivals, and beaten in that fashion. We went down without a fight, and I think that's what sort of stirred up a lot of the emotion that was
different if it was 2-1 Rangers.
Like if it was a close game, but we just weren't in it. So many people never turned up for it, and put it behind us now. You've got plenty of games now to rectify their mistakes. You've got a game coming up against them in March that I'm sure a lot of Celtic fans will be hoping for a good bit of retribution in the return fixture at Celtic Park, especially with their fans in as well, so that'll add a different dynamic. But I mean, even just going forward, talking about the sort of start of the year, you've got new dynamics now as well. You've got Champions League games on the horizon, good chance of qualifying for it. It's a weird feeling, because that's the first time we've went into a new year with the Champions League games still playing. Usually by this point we're knocked out. So
usually it's, we'll finish up the league, win the Scottish Cup.
This is what I asked for. European football after Christmas.
Finally got it, and I don't quite know how to receive it. I'm like, it's like a new toy, you don't know how to set up.
But I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. That's the point.
And what? I mean, I don't even know where we start today. Like, I want this podcast to have a direction of where we go today, but genuinely, I don't know where you go, because, I mean, Kieran, if you said to me on Hogmanay, right, what is it today? We're on the 9th, January 9th today, right? So in the opening 9 days, we have had a defeat to Rangers in the league. We've had Kieran Tierney effectively coming back to Celtic. We have had Brendan Rodgers nearly falling out with the supporters. We have had a throwback night at Celtic Park. We have had exits from the club, which you would expect in the January transfer window. And we've had Kyogo move to Atlanta United without actually moving to Atlanta United. This first 9 days of 2025 has been hectic.
When you put it in list format like that, it really is fucking mental.
That's not what. And I didn't even mention the wins that we've had against Dundee United and who else did we beat again? St Mirren. I've not even mentioned the Dundee United St Mirren. So all of that has happened in 9 days. That's like a summer worth of stuff.
Just think if this was previously we got to Dubai, then when you'd be putting up with us.
We were what was it he said again? We did not take any privilege. Brendan will be hitting it with that next to where he's going. So it's been an absolutely manic opening 9 days, and now that we've just had the chance to sit down and talk about it in the podcast, it feels like you don't even know where to begin. We have touched on the disappointment of the Rangers game, and it's probably best to leave that behind us. We don't want to bring up the negatives again. No. Should we start with Kyogo? Because that is the big talking point today as we sit down. I feel like it's the biggest story in the Celtic news sphere at this moment in time. Something that by the time this podcast is out might just be put in the rear view. Brendan Rodgers will sit down at his press conference Friday afternoon and tell us exactly what has gone wrong. But it's not just about that story anymore, Kieran. It's about the wider ramifications. It's about the fact that Kyogo could be somebody who Celtic move on either in this window or the next transfer window, and the reaction that's come alongside it. So, I mean, the shock of seeing it first of all was pretty weird, wasn't it?
I mean, it was like, it's because there was the sort of links for reputable sources, maybe whatever, a month ago.
Stephen McGowan, 23rd of December.
So, like, and then with all this stuff that's happened with the MLS website, and Twitter's been mental with all that stuff, but if you look at the bigger picture and even boil it down to how would people react if Kyogo was to go, I don't know how the wider support would react, because in my mind we cannot let him go, but with the reaction to Kyogo in the past couple of months for your support, you'd think some of them will be willing to ferry him out America's East Coast,
the third class tier of the Titanic. And
like, I just don't know where everybody else's opinion will lie, but for me, you can't let Kyogo go. I don't care if people are saying he's been off the boil. He's been off the boil this season, so is Ida. Like, we're not exactly blessed the now with the striker position. We've got two great strikers there who just aren't pulling their weight now. So that is the frustrating thing, and we've said that in the last podcast, how frustrating it is that Kyogo's no hitting the heights we know he's capable of. We've already discussed the whole keep seeing it brought up again about him no fitting the system and things like that. Like, it's a bit tiresome, but in my head, you cannot lose Kyogo.
Not at this point.
No,
not
in the summer, you could maybe have a conversation about it.
I'm willing to listen to that conversation in the summer. That's not me saying that I want to see him go, but I am willing to actually talk about that in the summer, in the sense that, okay, I can see that maybe his Celtic career is drying up a wee bit, that maybe the system thing is coming a bit more into light now. But to lose a player of that quality without guaranteed replacement, somebody who's going to come in and actually bag the goals, because nobody guarantees that. Nobody. Right before these Champions League games, to me, just feels idiotic, and I just don't see Celtic being as careless.
I don't think. I know people will always sort of slate the way the board operates sometimes and how they're prone to stupid things, but I don't think they would go to the extent of selling Kyogo in January, because we've seen the struggle last year to get players through the door. We got Idan, which turned out to be a masterstroke somehow, but like, you can't bank on these things happening all the time. We always talk about how difficult a window January is to get business done in.
Yep.
So I just don't think the board see that as an attractive prospect. It's not the way it was with Yakimakis a couple of years ago. That was different because we had O as well at the time, and Kyogo, who was in form. Yakimakis was obviously unhappy with his bit part he was playing, and hence he left. Everybody knew it was probably going to happen, but this would be a bit... No, the Blues, but
not a bit part player, and I know I've seen a lot of people pointing to the fact, he's not started the last 2 games, and I'm like, I don't think that necessarily.
I think that's just to do with form.
It's rotation, form. We're a busy period right now. I don't think that's anything like the Giacomakis situation.
No, I feel it's night and day. But I wouldn't read into the selection of the team now when it comes to this Kyogo faff that's happening, but I just don't think there should even be a conversation had on Celtic's end if they were approached to sell him. I think it just doesn't make any sense for the rest of the season.
According to Sky, this afternoon I was watching Sky Sports News, and about 2:30 they were talking about it, and apparently club representatives were saying there has been no official contact. So I don't know what's happened on the MLS end of things to get this as wildly wrong. Now people are saying, has it just been a genuine mistake because they signed another Japanese striker, and maybe whoever was reporting it has been thinking of the rumours in his head and accidentally put Kyogo. Nonetheless, right, the talk from Stephen McGowan was £10 million they want to bid. I don't even think that's a sufficient amount of money to justify selling the player. Like, I
mean, when you look at it from the perspective, he turns 30 in like 2 weeks' time, I think.
And I guess this season's form doesn't allow Celtic to dictate such a massive fee, but at the same time, £10 million.
That's a man that was getting linked with Man City in the summer as a potential backup option, and you could have took teams like that to the cleaners in terms of it, but I can't believe we're actually in this situation. I said this the last time we were on the podcast, but if you said to me 2 years ago, you might be selling Kyogo in January to the MLS, I told you to fuck off.
I know, it's like it makes sense for players who are maybe like done doing what they can do, but I know there is Celtic fans who say Kyogo's done doing what he can do, but I just don't buy into that. No. I don't think so. I don't think I guess money talks and all the rest of it. I mean, Celtic are in a commanding position. I'm just trying to look up the actual contract details, but I'm pretty sure he's got something like 3 years left.
Did he not get tied into a deal in
contract
late
expires
2023?
Yeah, so his last contract extension was July 23, and it expires on May 31st, 2027. So still another 2 years on top of 2.5 years left in his deal. I think Celtic would be daft to let him go for 10 million without guaranteed goals coming in.
Especially in January as well. It just doesn't make any financial sense sense to the team.
Do you think that the conversation would maybe be different if Ida was scoring goals for fun at the minute? Do you think people would maybe go, all right, maybe we can entertain it?
I think people would say that, to be honest. I wouldn't say it, but I do think that would be a widely held thing amongst, I'm not going to say the full support, but like the certain outspoken individuals on Twitter would definitely be pushing that narrative. But I mean, Ida as well isn't exactly getting it the best. You know, he's off form, same as Kyogo. But I've seen a lot of people last night on Twitter saying Kyogo finishes half of the chances that were put into Ida's feet in the first half, especially. So I don't know if Kyogo's now getting back in favour with some of the support, but
that's how we work, it seems.
It's hard to tell.
That's how we work. I would be stunned. Just in my final words of it all, I'd be stunned if he left.
I'm hoping we've just sat and wasted 10 minutes talking about an absolutely nothing story.
And I feel like there will be a mixed reception to this conversation in the comments where people are like, you're keen at airtime, it doesn't matter. But I guess it has been, it is something to talk about.
It's been the main point of discussion amongst fans in the past couple of days, so I need to lead the show with it. As much as it might be a lot of shite. It very well could be.
It's a lovely phrase, isn't it? A lot of shite. I tell you what's not a lot of shite though, is the prospect of Kieran Tierney returning to Celtic, because it looks highly probable that's going to happen now. We're not exactly sure of the finer details of it all, whether he'll arrive anytime soon or if we need to wait until the end of the season. But I'm almost pretty certain, touch that big plank of wood underneath this table, that it's going to happen. We've not spoke about this in the podcast
have we not?
At all,
because I can't remember if there was like rumours.
I think that we might have briefly.
Was it maybe like a question for Twitter? Would you take Kieran Tierney back, sort of thing? Because I mean, like, I don't think there's anybody left in the. There might be a couple in the camp. I still.
Oh, there is.
Is there?
No, my comment section's full of them.
I don't check your comments, to be fair.
There's a good amount that come into my comment section, like sick note Tierney.
Chocolate ankles.
Exactly.
Glass ankles.
But we've not spoke about it since it's had such depth to the story itself. So I mean, they've all heard mine. I want to hear your opinion on it.
He has to come. Like, he has to come back, and anybody that's sort of holding out, and I think we were just talking about, when they take him, their minds will be changed when the moment he comes back. I can't believe that we're actually in the situation that he could be coming back. They knew that this was the sort of thing when he left in 2019. You thought we're not going to see him again until he's about 33. But the prospect of getting somebody like Kieran Tierney, who's been playing for, obviously he's had a tough time out with injury, but the levels that he's risen to even after leaving Celtic. Yep. You've seen it for the national team as well. He was great at Celtic, but he's became an even better player now. And the chance of getting him at 27 years of age is pretty much a dream come true for Celtic. I understand there's a lot of talk about having to manage his game time and things like that. I've heard some shouts as well. I just play him in the Champions League games. I'm not going to sign him back just to play him 8 games a season, and then against Rangers.
Easiest wages ever picked up.
But I mean, it's obviously something that Rodgers would have to do. There'd need to be a bit of rotation because everybody is aware you can't shy away from his injury record, but the prospect of him coming back to Celtic is an exciting one, and obviously excited the fans against St Mirren, and it caused this whole uproar with Brendan Rodgers. But
it's going to come on,
I know.
We'll come to that in a second because it's going to be. It's nice to see that that's all over and done with, but we'll get to it in a minute. Tierney's game time. Like, so people have already backed it up with the stats and saying like since he's left Celtic, he's averaged like 30 games a season or something. Like if you count every game he's played and divide it by
the amount of seasons
6
he's been
seasons
away,
or whatever it is he's been away, he's averaging 30 games a season. If Kieran Tierney can play 30 games for Celtic next season, I would be delighted. I think that's a fantastic amount of games for somebody who's apparently riddled with injuries. Obviously, you would like him to be able to play that. Some people will go, well, that's half the games you play because you play the 38 in the league, you play the 8 in the Champions League, you've got the next round, you've got the Scottish Cup. You're talking about a 60-game season. But I think if he could get the 30, including the most important games, that's ultimately, for a free transfer, pretty good business.
I know. Like, as well with the wages. Like,
have you read about that?
No.
The wages. Apparently, it's going to be as low as 35 grand a week.
Really?
That was what was reported in the Daily Mail. We were talking about it in a stream a couple of nights ago, and I was stunned. So
he's on like 120 grand.
120, and apparently.
See, that will surely be the stumbling block in the whole. If getting him on loan to the end of the season, because that's the thing. But see, if you were to say, right, we'll pay Hoff, obviously 60 grand a week to a player is well more than what anybody else is on.
Yep.
But if you think about it in a few months, sort of investment, like, and then he's going to be dropping down to 35, supposedly.
I'm assuming that will include obviously a hefty
sign-on
bonus, like just to make up for the loss of money. So the Daily Record reported, just to make it clear in case people don't know this. So number one, his wage at Arsenal has been reported not to be as high as 120. So people seem to have found out that his wage is actually only just north of 100 grand a week at Arsenal.
That's a crying
Huge
shame,
difference.
that.
Huge difference. That 20
How
grand,
does it get
I'm sure he's missing it. And yeah, apparently, so the Daily Mail reported that he would be set to earn 35 grand a week in the top wage bracket in Celtic squad. And obviously that means that I think Calum McGregor might just keep his place as the club's top earner. And I just... Why would people want to knock this back? I don't understand.
Because I knew it was being reported he was obviously willing to take a wage drop, but I wasn't sure how much that was going to be.
You can only assume that the clubs that are interested in him, I think there was talk of, like, what was that?
West Ham, Leicester,
Southampton or
or
something.
Brentford or something like that.
That's right, aye. Like, those clubs, let's be real, are probably not offering them anything north of 50, 60 grand a week.
Aye.
So the 35 sounds a lot more understandable when you put it into that perspective, because his contract's up at the end of the season. So, but it would be a huge improvement to the team.
Aye, massively, because you've got obviously the ongoing Greg Taylor contract situation. Alex Bally's not going to be here after the summer. I mean, unless he does have an amazing next few months, but even if he does, I've raised this point before about if we get Tierney in, I've seen a lot of people saying, then you get, if Greg Taylor leaves, then you get Alex Valley as the backup option. I'm like, why would a Barcelona youth academy player who's been on loan here and not really started every game then see that Kieran Tierney's coming through the door and think, aye, that's a brilliant move for my career?
Surely there's going to be teams like, I don't know, Real Vallecano or...
Aye, it's obviously a better
Gaddafi
opportunity where he's going to go and play every week. Like, it's not an attractive prospect, as much as people might like to think it, but it's not an attractive prospect to
bench one.
At Celtic when you come for that kind of pedigree. I'm not saying the boy's an absolute world beater, but he could definitely be playing every week for somebody, and he's not going to he's not going to put his own career in a sort of halt just to come and bench one.
He would genuinely be sitting waiting for Tierney's next injury. That's what he would be doing. And
he'd be sitting there with a wee fucking Kieran Tierney voodoo doll.
I don't mean to sound cynical when I say that, but he would generally be in the sidelines waiting for Tierney to get injured.
And
because if Tierney's there, he's not going to play.
That's the thing as well, but like, we always talk, Celtic is a stepping stone for players that come to then try and get a move to a bigger team. You can't do that if you're on the bench all the time.
That's right.
So
I know it's
just not going to happen.
There's a kind of quadrant of Celtic fans on Twitter now, or formerly known as Twitter X, that are desperate for us to sign Tierney. I see the pleas and I'm like, not Tierney, sorry, Valley, and I'm like, you're going to need to rein that expectation, and it's probably far from happening at this point. I would be willing to eat this hat if we end up signing Valley, to be quite honest. But listen, I love the guy. I think he's a nice guy, good player. Just what you said, it doesn't make much sense for him to come. On that note, what does happen? The whole Greg Taylor situation. I guess we should maybe just bring in the Rodgers stuff and the Taylor stuff now. What was your take on everything that happened?
I was baffled, to be honest.
On both sides?
I mean, they obviously raised the 2 points, the fans getting on the team's back when they're making backwards passes, and I can fully understand where he's coming from for that, because Celtic Park can be very toxic when we're no cruising games, but why was that the game he chose to... that's the hill I'm going to die on in this game? I don't think it was that bad in the St Mirren game.
Hear it.
And I could hear it, but I've heard far worse at Celtic Park in similar type of games against teams that you should be beating comfortably, and he's never raised the concerns in their games, but for this one he came out all guns blazing. And then the Greg Taylor stuff, obviously that was the one that really made me laugh. I was like, is he being fucking serious? But how has that even came about? As Greg Taylor went back into the dressing room raging, he's came out, I'm going to defend my player. But the whole thing with that, I know it's all over and done with now. A wee laugh was had in the Dundee United game, but I'm like, you can't very publicly be wanting to sign Kieran Tierney to replace Greg Taylor and then come out and act like you're Greg Taylor's biggest fan in the media. I'm like, you're actively trying to replace him. You signed a left back that everybody probably thought he has the chance to overtake Greg Taylor this season, and Alex Valley to come in on loan, he might shift him out the team. He's done everything he can to try and improve that left back spot, and now he's coming out. He came out in defence of Greg Taylor, and I understand it's his player, he has to back him and that, but it felt a bit forced and
You're
over
similar
the top
to me.
for me.
Even though, actually, funnily enough, for contrary to what you might believe at home, we've not actually spoken an awful lot about the whole situation. Even in the group chat, I feel like we just kind of went, this is happening, that's happening. We never had a full-blown discussion about it. You're very similar-minded to me in the sense that, like, look, listen, I'll put it out there, I'm Rodgers' biggest fan. Everybody likes to make the joke that I would get down on knees for Brendan Rodgers, quite frankly. I don't agree with that, just for the record. But I am a huge Rodgers fan. I do think he missed the mark wildly with all of this. And some people in my comment section don't want to agree with that. That's fair. They'll be saying that we are the ones that are wrong because Taylor doesn't deserve the disrespect. It wasn't disrespect.
No.
And that's where I think it all went wrong, because it was a genuine misunderstanding. And that's why I think, look, listen, you made a great point about the coming out and choosing that to be the game to make these points, and especially the point that passed the back. I don't know if he was just hurting after the 3-0 to Rangers. Aye. I don't know if that is.
I mean, it done a good job to deflect all the conversation away from.
Somebody made a point to me yesterday that in our members stream, and I think it's a great point. It's not one I've seen floated around much on social media, right? When the Rangers game was all done, said and done, finished, what was the main criticisms? It was about Taylor and Scales. Not good enough. Get rid of them. Rodgers doing what he's done deflected all the attention off of those two and brought it onto him. Was it tactical? Was it him choosing to be a good manager of his players and take the pressure from them and put it onto him? That's one way you can look at it.
Even if he didn't mean that, you've said that now, and he's like, that's what I was doing.
Somebody pointed it out though, and I was like, it's a fair point, because like we always hear that the best managers take the pressure off of the players and bring it onto themselves. And if that was what he intended, fair enough. I don't think it's what he intended by. Oh no. To be quite honest,
I'm sure he'll claim that, but
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I just think that there was maybe a bit of hurting there from the derby, and maybe a bit of a fragile mind or something.
A man with an ego like that, it can't be easy.
You can't say that. He wasn't happy about the ego stuff. Did you not hear him?
No,
he was at a point like in the pre-match presser, the one that people when he brought up the Swansea stuff and all that, and he said something like, "Oh, you can't say that because then you get told you've got an ego or whatever." And you see him go,
you have, you do, Brendan.
You've a pain to yourself. Oh no, on your wrist, Brendan. We all seen it. But I don't know if that's what caused it. But he's still done characteristically unlike himself.
Aye. I mean, as I said, it was really. I feel like most people were baffled by the choice of timing for it. I mean, it's a fair point. Whoever said that, it could be true in terms of him trying to deflect away for the players, but you can deflect how you want. I remember that performance. It was fucking diabolical.
Aye. I'm glad it's over and done with, though. It was a bit of the phrase "storming a teacup" comes to mind. It didn't need to be.
It just like it was pure needless, and it was like it wasn't going to get to the point of division that. But you seen the way it went last season.
What was it?
This was what's it called in the motor. That's it. Finally came up. So in the car on the way here, I could barely speak. I'm like, I need to burp. And that tango's just unleashed the demon, man.
See, the best part about that is you were looking at me as you were talking, so I don't think they seen the look of panic in your eyes. So pardon Kieran, he was burped like a baby. Yes. By himself, not by me. What were you saying again? Sorry.
I genuinely don't know. That's fogged my mind up.
What a way to start 2025.
Right, that's the moment of 2025.
So we'll talk about Rodgers and Scales and Taylor and bringing all that up and oh my god,
I don't even know.
Do we even listen to each other?
No, I just wait until it's my turn to speak.
Genuinely, what were you talking about? That is going to it's away.
I know
it's away. It's all done. Storming a teacup.
I know, it was like the division for last season.
Yep, that's it.
I was just waiting for the fucking up to come up. But nah, it was like the division you seen last season and the effect that had on results and things, where obviously the Green Brigade getting banned and certain things. It just felt like it came at a time where things weren't going well. And I think people just didn't want it to spiral out of control the way it did last season and see the sort of effects happen on the pitch. But I mean, it was a good natured game last night. Aye, good few old songs belted it, and it's over and done with now.
Made us realise how good the Celtic songbook actually is. That's how I'd say that. So Tierney potentially coming back. Taylor, don't know. Valley, don't know. Rodgers, we forgive you. Before we get on to I think we're actually doing okay. I think we're about 25 minutes in. I think so. I think we started recording around 25 to 7. So, we usually have a half-time quiz at this point for you. We don't have a half-time quiz at this point of the show for you. So, I'm just going to jump straight into the game tomorrow, as this is uploaded, as Celtic visit Dingwall. On it. Well, if the game... Do you think there's a chance it could get postponed?
I mean, I don't know how heavy the snow is up there.
Pretty bad.
Because I seen the photos what David was sending in for up in Arasig, so I don't know.
I hope no. Let's talk as if the game is not going to get postponed. There's a couple of... We've obviously got the full Friday to go through, and then obviously a wee bit of Saturday morning for them to try and get the pitch in order. The thing that I think will be a concern is for supporters, obviously, in such a place it's tough to get to at the best of times. It's probably not going to be ideal with the snow and the ice and whatnot, especially the away fans who need to travel for about 4 hours. It's a game in which obviously Celtic should be winning, but Ross County, a team who we have obviously spoke about, well managed, but on a game with such tough conditions, where we have been playing so much football and rotation is a big topic of conversation, there is always a bit of kind of, you've got to be a wee bit weary going into games like this.
I mean, Ross County have had a couple of favourable results in recent times that have maybe seen them climb a wee bit further up, and like
the 10th just now, I think.
I need to see what the actual current standing is. But
Let's see, Ross County currently 10th in the league as we speak.
But they've had a couple of encouraging signs in games. A couple of them.
Comeback was pretty impressive.
So there's obviously signs there that they're not going to be getting dragged down with a fight sort of thing. I feel like they're in the same sort of situation every season, but it's so tight down there that they could rise up. So every game is important to them. Obviously, this is the sort of game that they look at and think, right, maybe we'll accept the defeat here, but they're going to make it as hard as possible. We know it's never an easy game up there. It's a tight wee pitch, as you said. The conditions are going to be brutal.
Aye.
They're going to do everything to disrupt the way we play.
Not to sound like Rodgers here, but I hope it's not. Listen, if the pitch is rock solid and it's a horrible day and it's freezing, I just don't want to look on Twitter and go see people going, "Why are we playing so slow?" I'm like, you try and go up and play football the way that we should in a pitch like that. But you're right, do you know what's crazy? I'm just looking at the league table. Depending on how they would need a bunch of results to go specific ways, they could hypothetically be 6th. By the end of the afternoon if they beat Celtic. It's crazy.
What was their last game?
Their last game was, if it will decide to work on me. Here we go. The last game. Yeah, look, they've won back to back. They're actually in decent form. They've not lost.
That's what I'm meaning. Because they beat Aberdeen at Pittodrie, so it's been a good couple of weeks for them. So they've not really had this level of confidence for a while. Granted, you're looking at their fixture list there. They had a run of hard games. I mean, just looking at that, they had Rangers. Hibs away.
That must be you realistically look at it. A team that's been doing the league table is lying to them, isn't it? It really is.
Like, they can probably take a good bit of confidence into this game, and I'm not going to say they're confident going into it, but they've got to fancy their chances, as we spoke about up there. They'll fancy anybody they know. So we just need to. I think it's all about getting an early goal to try and settle it, because I mean, what was the 2-1 we won the last time we went there?
Yes.
But they scored the penalty.
That's right.
And
they were behind, weren't they?
So I don't think this is the sort of game we can really afford to go behind in. I feel like we need to start strong and just sort of play the football at our tempo. And yeah, hopefully we will walk away with the 3 points. But it's a hard week in general. I mean, we won't be back before the Dundee game as well. But you look at Ross County and Dundee following each other. This is the same sort of games that Rangers slipped up in last year that allowed us to then go on and win the league. So we've obviously got a comfortable cushion right now, but you need to be keeping that gap, and I think it would be very, very frustrating if we came out of this with none of the 6 points in the 2 away games.
It would be incredibly frustrating if we didn't. Understandable that these things do happen, but we need to be picking up that momentum again where it was maybe a couple of weeks ago before the Rangers game. It is returned, I think. I feel like it's came back the last couple of games, but you want it optimised.
What was your overall reaction to last night's game? Like,
I thought listen, in a night like that, I never go along to Celtic Park expecting much, and I don't want or expect them to be beating teams 9-0 every week anyway. I thought first half we were actually really good. I thought first half performance was good. We kind of took our foot off the gas a wee bit in the second. But it's hard to be, and I, once again, don't mean to sound like I'm just coughing up the Brendan Rodgers quote book here, but you can't be intense the way that you want to be intense every minute of every game. It's just impossible. And the second half, we tailed off, but we went and found the winner. And I think that the difference between us and the Rangers at the minute is the fact that Rangers probably wouldn't have found that winner. They would have probably slipped into dropping points. Celtic were nowhere near doing that.
I mean, I agree with you. The first half last night, I thought we were brilliant. Probably a few chances people should have got on the end and finished it. The game, like, it was unlucky. In that second half, there was maybe like a 10-15 minute spell where Dundee United were allowed into the game. I still don't think they had any real big chances. It was like fast balls going across and maybe a wee intake of breath, but it was nothing to properly worry yourself about. I mean, if it was last season, I'd have been sat there thinking, right.
In terms of game management, they seem to manage these games pretty well. Even if teams do get into it, they get themselves out of it without much concern. And I think we'll see aspects of that this weekend. I think there'll be moments where County are probably on the front foot and we need to weather a wee mini storm. But we can do it. And some players, I mean, this is what I wanted to come on to next in preparation of this preview. Some players are coming into good form at the minute. Big one is Arne Engels. A lot of people arguing that he's been man of the match 3 times in a row now. And I think that you'd be hard to challenge it. I can't think of many who have maybe been better than him. I think he's been great the last
he has won the man of the match. He's into him 3 at the last 4. So
statistically, it is backed up.
Factually, he was man of the match.
It's been great.
No, he has. And I seen somebody tweet earlier, and it was like a tweet that I think it was 20 Minute Tim's probably a discussion post about Arne Engels, and like I think the replies to it were a lot of people. Maybe I think it was like a month ago or like 3-4 weeks ago. And everybody was obviously on the train, oh, he's not good enough, why have we spent 11.5 million? And then somebody quote tweeted it the day, if you go and look at the replies to that and tell me this fan base isn't reactionary.
The most reactionary fan base on the planet.
I certainly think
maybe
so.
Apart from Rangers, maybe apart from them.
Maybe. Aye, they're worse. But when it comes to the form of some of your players, but it's meant to the way we chop and change. But
the same people who were saying that he's no good enough are now calling him the Belgian star boy.
That is Rangers fan behaviour. That is the proper flip-flapping. But I've never properly criticised him this season. I've always thought there was definitely a player he's shown it at different points of the season. There was maybe a wee quiet spell where he wasn't exactly getting the goals and assists and things, but he's still got a good return for this season. His first season in Scottish football. I think we've always spoke about the weight of the transfer. He was always going to be heavy on his shoulders because people are going to expect 10 out of 10 performances every week, but he's getting damn near that now. So I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to grow at Celtic. And who was it he was getting linked to? Was it Atalanta?
Apparently linking up and fuck off.
I know, back off.
First O'Reilly,
This is the payback for no getting.
I know.
Matt O'Reilly.
I don't think it's the same as. Remember when like Hatai came through the door and it was like at the end of that season teams are interested. Matt O'Reilly, another one who straight away was getting looked at. Your players are constantly getting looked at because we are constantly signing the hidden gems that the rest of the league aren't willing to take gambles on. The rest of the world aren't ready to take gambles on yet. But for me, Kieran's got to keep starting at the minute. Now that we're finally seeing the confidence side of him, there's no point in benching that and taking that confidence away. Because
there's been, we spoke about it at the start of December, there was going to be a lot of rotation, specifically in the midfield, because you didn't want to risk any injuries and that. There has been quite a bit of rotation, but I feel like now we're starting to get ourselves into a settled midfield 3. Obviously there's got to be rotation because of the sheer amount of games, but I think it's important you don't disrupt the harmony in the midfield, especially going into, you've got the cup game coming up, you've got young boys, even Aston Villa, which I'm hoping we don't actually need to get any anything for by that point, but there's some big games coming up and you want all your, especially your midfield, because I feel like at Ibrox the midfield was just bypassed for the most part.
They were vacant in the game. And obviously Engels didn't come on to the last fucking 10
minutes. I mean, that is the age-old cliche, whoever controls midfield controls the game. That's
what's his name?
Lee Dixon or
Dixon and Stephen Robson, they're the ones. They're like guilty party.
But I mean, it is true. Like, you can see for the get-go, the confidence we've got with Ingles in the side. You see the chances he creates. It's so important to the team, especially when there was a wee while we were saying the team's quite stagnant in possession.
Aye.
He's somebody that's trying to make things happen, and somebody
Constantly moving.
he's undroppable now, and hopefully he continues it in the next couple of games.
Yeah. On that note, let's do a wee team prediction, shall we? Even though it is kind of up, Nicholas Kuhn. So we're at this point where, of course, we record on a Thursday night, which is always never ideal for the fact that the press conferences are on a Friday afternoon. So we have to live on assumptions. Nicholas Kuhn, just to clarify for any listeners who are wondering or don't know the update, he was dropped from the starting 11 on Wednesday night because of a thigh issue, which hasn't been revealed the extent of. I'm hoping it was precautionary. Does that mean he'll be rushed back into the team at Dingwall tomorrow? I still have my reservations about so, but we'll do our predictions anyway. We'll wait and see what Rodgers says. Schmeichel, of course, in goals. Back four, Kieran, does he stick with what seems to be a now settled back four?
I don't think there's going to be any changes. I would be shocked if Valley got the nod over Taylor on Saturday. I don't really see it happening.
Rodgers can never drop Taylor again though.
He's going to pull the plug in the Tierney deal just out of spite. But nah, I feel like the back four is picking itself right now.
Trusty and Vickers just look. I know that he had a wee bit of a shaky game in that cup final. Trusty, he didn't look comfortable at moments, but I just don't see how Scales just for me doesn't get close to him. I think he's once again came back into the team and shown how much better he is, and I mean that with all due respect to Scalesy, but there's levels in this game, and I just think Trusty's a level above.
Aye. I mean, I've never been Liam Scales' biggest fan. I'll give him credit where it's due, but I will also criticise him very harshly.
but you'll never praise very harshly.
But I mean, Scales had to be dropped, and I feel like it's nice to see Trusty and Vickers back playing together again. We spent the money on Trusty. You've got to be playing him.
Midfield three is probably where the conversation opens up about does somebody drop out for. Does McCowan drop out for somebody else? Because you assume McGregor and Ingles, as we said, will start again. Does Hatate come back in? Does Bernardo come back in? Who do you think will join the two of them?
I don't know. I've got a feeling Bernardo.
Right, okay.
But somebody raised the point of that on Twitter. Is Hatate now a better impact sub than when he starts games? I'm like, you can maybe make an argument for that.
Maybe.
He's the ultimate Tom Rocket, the updated version.
We have reached the point now where I think, right, let's just say hypothetically speaking, for the rest of the season, McGregor and Ingles were the guaranteed starters. I truly believe that third position, when it comes to prediction, it just goes off gut feeling now. I don't have any rhetoric to back up why.
It's like me picking the horse for the Grand National. I've not got a fucking clue.
Aye. Like, Rodgers will know who he wants to play. Of course he will. He's a match. I think Toby has an idea who he wants to play. But like for me to predict it, it's like I just have a feeling such and such will start. I have nothing to back that up other than my gut. I think that's the point with it.
Aye. And that's exactly why I said Bernardo. Have I got any basis for that claim? No.
I think Hatate. Do I have any basis for that? No, I don't. It's just my gut tell me Hatate.
This is the level of analysis you get on this show.
But if there's, I will say this loud and clear to anybody listening. I will challenge any other Celtic podcaster, whether I like you or not. Not that I dislike many, but if I like you or not, I will challenge you. You're talking shite if you have an insider information in your head or whatever to say who's starting tomorrow. None of us fucking know. It's just a gut feeling. Right, midfield is packed with talent, and you cannot convince me that there's any amount of statistics that back up why one of the three should start. I'll die in that hill, Kieran.
I certainly don't have the statistics.
I'll die on it.
I just wing it.
People in the comments are a bit like, no, but Bernardo's got the such and such factor, and he's got 56%. I don't care. Right, doesn't matter.
I've not done a bit of prep work for this podcast in about 3 years, and I think it probably shows.
I have not done prep work for this podcast since ever. I don't think. I remember, like, from time to time I'll do a running order if it's necessary. Don't know the last time I've done it. But I never... my whole channel has been built off me press and record and spouting shite.
I've just realised as well, it's been over 4 years now since...
Wow, the anniversary will be...
It was.
Aye. Wow.
Starting the year we had defeat to Rangers.
Whoa.
Wait, what's in that?
Aye, whoa. That's freaky.
Let's calm that.
Aye. And then front three, do you think Kuhn will come in, or do you think he'll just leave him for another game?
I wouldn't personally rush him back with the games we've got on the horizon, but you also see what you miss when you've not got him in the team. But I think you need to think long term here, and instead of
Take the hit.
just for the one game, I think you take the hit. Aye, but then is it Yang again?
Yang rise. It has to be Yang. Who else could it be? Forrest is injured.
Palmer.
Palm on the right. Oh well, Maida on the right, Palm on the left. Would you do it? It would be his farewell by the looks of it. It looks as though he's off.
It's going to be Yang, isn't
Nah,
it?
it's gonna be Yang. It's gonna be Yang. Yang and Maida is what I fully expect in the wings.
Aye.
But unless Rodgers comes out and says categorically, Kuna is fine. He
Aye.
is good to go. There is nothing to worry about.
Aye, then it'll be Kun.
But we need to wait and see.
Striker.
This is a tough one because every time we go to Dingwall, I always favour the physical striker.
I was going to say that. It's on paper, it's why the games you think that he'll do better in either. But I think I'm going to go Kyogo.
I think it will be Kyogo. And I don't think that this week's whole Atlanta thing plays a factor in that. I truly don't.
No, I think it's maybe the performance against Dundee United from Adam Ida. I think that puts a nail in the coffin. But, I mean, you talk about the physical aspect as well. Kyogo scored a heater. Dingwall.
Aye.
So it's not ridiculous to say that he can't be that bit of hingy, but I think as well, we were talking about there's going to be periods where we're going to be getting attacked by Ross County and we're having to maybe sit back and defend for a wee bit, but you're going to want that sort of pace, I think. Kyogo up front to try and get in behind the lines.
Needs goals. We need to. I can't believe that we're on match day 20. This is, I think, tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, and we're still talking about the strikers can't get goals. It's bizarre, proper bizarre, and I just don't understand.
We're obviously getting goals for all the team.
Aye, which is thank God.
Yeah, you would still like your strikers to be bagging.
Pay them to score goals. It's weird. It's really weird. I hope when the floodgates open, they open. I really thought that was going to be that game we won at Parkhead and Kyogo scored a couple and he just scored one, didn't he? And I thought that would have been it.
Aye.
Alas, here we are. Barely scored since. That's our team predictions. So, as we finish up before we go into the viewers' questions, Kieran, score. What do you think the score will be?
3-1 Celtic.
3-1. That's a lot of goals on a Greek afternoon.
Well.
The Highlands. I'm going to go, do you know what? The first time ever I'm going to be so bleak and miserable. I'm going to go 1-0.
Can't wait to watch that
Ross
game.
County. 1-0 Sellik. I'm going to go 1-0 Sellik. Because if I ground myself to disappointment, I'll never be disappointed. I say that like we're a disappointing team. You know what I mean?
Fucking cheat up, right?
I know. Your questions at home. We want to hear your voices, and for the first time this year, we have got them. Kieran is going to play host as usual nowadays. So, kick us off.
We'll just go in the order I'm seeing them here. We've got Ad the Lad, he's there and he's always there. He says, any kebab pies in 2025, and when's Ryan starting up a Minecraft series for the channel members?
This is one of the only comments, I think it's the only one that I've seen beforehand, and it made me really want to start a Minecraft series.
Is this something you've been getting asked for?
No, this is completely out the blue, by the way, completely out the blue. I actually loaded up Minecraft for the first time in years on my PC the other day, and I was so lost with some of the new stuff, so I just chucked it off.
I done that with my PlayStation. I was like,
Aye.
what the fuck is this?
But, so, do you know Minecraft 2 is coming out?
Minecraft 2?
I'm not joking. Minecraft 2 is coming out. So, you remember, not right, off topic, that's all my nerds will love this part of the podcast. So, remember Notch, who invented Minecraft?
Aye.
No longer
And he sold it for a fortune.
But no longer involved in any sort of way. So, I think he accidentally announced that he was working on a Minecraft 2, and off the back of that, he just put out a full statement saying, yes, it's true, I'm working on Minecraft 2. So, he's doing another game himself that he wants to have, in his words, reflect the original, which I must admit I'm quite excited for, because I thought Minecraft lost its way for me. Maybe that's just the old boomer that I am. But I'm looking forward to Minecraft too. There'll be a series for that, Adam.
I mean, even David Buick jumped on here saying he said he's keen to get the band back together to do a Minecraft series.
I loved it so much. I was a huge Minecraft guy growing up.
Right, moving on. We've got.
Didn't answer his kebab pie point.
I've not had one.
I've not had one yet.
It's criminal for me, to be fair.
Soon.
I've been eating too close to actually going to the game.
It's been inconvenient times, like Wednesday 7:45. You've just had your dinner. Trust me, 3 o'clock. Kilmarnock in the cup. Well, actually, no, it's half 5. 5 Kilmarnock in the cup is a guaranteed kebab pie. Guaranteed.
Odds on kebab pie. Right, Nathan Green is asking, in honour of Throwback Week, obviously in reference to the game last night, what's some throwback food from early 2010s which used to bang but don't hit the same / don't exist anymore? So what's lost its way for you, or what's been discontinued that...
The first one that everybody's mind will go to, I think, is the crispy rolls. Remember Milky Way crispy rolls? Everybody's going to say Milky rolls.
Mars Planets.
Oh mate, they were great.
See,
What happened? Why did they get rid of them?
I don't know, but I've got a really... I don't know if it's niche or the people I've said it to are just too young to remember it, but, like, in working that, but do you remember what a Mars Delight is?
Yes.
I fucking... It was...
Well, it was... Am I thinking the right thing? It had a did it have like a filling?
Aye.
Aye,
like,
was the filling no like white?
I can't mind, but...
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Let's see a photo of this.
Like, it's no...
Oh, right. Aye, white wrapper. That must be what I'm thinking then.
Aye,
Aye,
but they were fucking amazing. I don't even know when they got discontinued. In my head, it was like...
I don't know if I ever had one,
I just realised I've clicked on a change.org link here and it's a petition.
Bring them back.
Yeah, I'll be back up now.
I'll tell you what doesn't hit hard for me anymore. So see when I was like early, like 10, 11, 12, maybe early teens, I was obsessed with sewer things. So like see, what would they call it again? Something shocks. Wee gummy, like wee chewy things, and they had a kind of wet middle in them.
I know what you mean, aye.
Aftershocks maybe or something, and stuff like what was the thing?
Toxic waste.
Toxic waste. What was the thing with the ball? Brains or something? The wee
brain liquor.
Brain liquors. And like I used to love all that shit, and I wouldn't react. Like my face wouldn't screw up. I used to get like 10 sewer gobstopper things or whatever and throw them in my mouth at one time and try and impress everybody, right? Because I was that weird. But like I just didn't. My face would never. But see now, see if you hand me something like a fucking brain liquor, I'll revolt. Like, and I think that just.
I still love sewer stuff, but see, just when you talk about gobstoppers, what the fuck was the point in a gobstopper?
I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of like actual
just
gobstoppers.
Cutting about with
a
big hamster cheek was the point.
I mean, if that got lodged in your throat, it was game over.
Fuck, pure old man. You're gonna chuckling.
I'm trying to think anything else that comes to my head. The one thing I will give a shout out to that I thought it was stupid anyway. It's the kind of thing that you loved when you were 11. But I remember 2010, 2011, the Tango. Turbo Tangos.
Aye.
And they got banned through our school because they were just so unhealthy. Like,
do you remember the energy drink Nae Danger?
It was Iron Brew 32. There's one, by the way.
Oh, fuck.
Cuckoo.
I had that.
Do you know there's people watching this podcast that won't have a fucking clue what Iron Brew 32 is?
I had an Iron Brew 32 mini fridge.
Did you? It's like the fucking... I wanted the Juggernog mini fridge for the collector's edition of Black Ops 3 or whatever one it was. Good question though. I enjoyed that.
Sitting here reminiscing.
You think this is a Sellik podcast, eh? What the hell?
Barely. We're getting into the stuff we want to talk about now. Let's see. Svolst. Is that what that is? That's the person.
I'd say so. Svolst.
Since the topic is high, what are your favourite chants about a player? Also, musically, what was your Spotify rap top 5? Thank you. Love the show.
That's a great question.
So, I mean, we were sitting talking about it in the motor at the game yesterday, but some of the songs getting brought back. I mean, the Sinclair one, it felt like we were just gone back in a time machine. Like we sat there however many years ago hearing them for the first time. But see the one that, like, honestly, that I miss, like, see, I think it was like Cluj at home, and the full stadium was bouncing, and it's like, I want to be Edward. The noise you used to get in the stadium, and I think that might be my favourite.
We need to send an Edward or something. Like, we should be scouting people with the name Edward just to get that chant back. God, there's so many. Like, that was a great feeling yesterday singing something. I know it's kind of like, it's one of the pure generic ones to bring up, right? But one that will always get me going, no matter if you're on a bus, if you're waiting to get a queue to get in a stadium, you're in the stadium, you're in a pub, whatever. The Arta Boric chant is like, it's just an all-timer. Like, and that's another one we're talking about how we're getting old, right? And one of the big conversations we had in Celtic Park last night was talking about people who were too young to remember certain players or certain things. And it's like, I would look to the row in front of me, and there's wee guys in the row in front of us that are maybe like 7-8 year old, whatever. I don't know what age they are. But
I'm about 16.
Well, is he?
Aye, like that. Aye.
Is he really?
Well, I'd imagine so. Certainly no 8 year old. He's probably taller than me.
Well, whatever age they are, right? But probably not a Scooby about Artur Boric and the whole thing that went alongside him. There's people in that stadium who just don't know, and that fries my brain. But then, as I said, people will say that about us with like the O'Neill era and the eras before that.
As I said to you last night, it's the rite of passage of every Celtic fan to complain about. Not complain, but to say, "Oh, you never seen such and such play." But it is scary to think that people didn't see it.
Because I still feel, I know we're getting old, but I still feel like young at heart, you know, and just it feels
I know, we're not that old. We're 24.
Well, I'm nearly 25, so
unlucky.
That's a good question. Top 5. Let's hear.
Are we going artists or songs?
Well, my top 5 songs were I could run through them rapid. So mine were all country. So I had Chris Stapleton with "What Are You Listening To" as my number 1 song. And then that was followed up by 3 Luke Combs songs: "Must Have Never Met You," "Honky Tonk Highway," and "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma." And then a Brooks and Dunn number, "Ain't Nothing About You." That was my top 5.
My top 5 artists were the Beatles, which is number 1.
Two.
I was surprised, but I didn't think I listened to them that much this year. But then it was Arctic Monkeys number 2, The Strokes number 3, Glenn Campbell number 4, and then Dog Park is number 5. Top songs were Rich Girl, Gentle My Mind, Washington Square Park, Never Enough, and then I don't know what the last song is. I think it was one for when we were meant to go to Santa Ponza and we had the playlist with all the dance music in it.
Oh, is it one of these? One of these rave songs.
But I must have pure liked him. I'm going to listen to that 200 times. So
I've got like my artists. I think were Luke Combs, the Beatles, WWE were number 3, shamefully. That's what happens when you go to so many wrestling events in a year, including Mania. And then it was like Brooks and Dunn and Chris Stapleton, I think, that finished it off. But it was very country.
Here's a question, right, for somebody that doesn't watch wrestling, right? So, say if you, say you were gone to the wrestling, right, and you're having pre-drinks, do you sit and listen to WWE?
No, we don't. And listen, you're basically out anyway. Like, you can't, like, you don't really get a choice. I tell you what, though, when we were at the... So when we went to Mania, we had tickets to a tailgate party, and it was in a place called... So people from Philadelphia will be familiar with Chicky and Pete's. It's like their kind of city sports bar thing. They have branches all over the place. And so we were in Chicky and Pete's, and it was run, and they had former wrestlers doing meet and greets and stuff, just walking about. I was too nervous to speak to any of them. A couple of them are too healthy to speak to be quite honest. Just saying, I would have been nervous as anything. When to Neil Dashwood, I'm sorry, I can't speak a word to her. So anyway, but they had like wrestling themes blaring, but that's kind of different. But no, if I was sitting in a hotel room before I go out, I wouldn't be sitting listening to fucking...
You and Scott Peel.
no.
Banging.
Maybe cue like one of the good ones, like CM Punk, because his is like an actual song, like Couple of Personalities, a song. But I wouldn't sit and cue like
you and him sitting listening to Randy Orton voices.
That's one of the ones that would maybe make the cut. That would maybe make the cut. But
there's a couple of questions obviously surrounding Tierney, but
go back to Sellik.
I think we spent about 5 minutes on that question. But Aidan's asking, if nobody from the starting 11 leaves, do you think a winger and Tierney are the only potential signings we could make this window?
I don't know. I think we're due a big window just off the talk and the players we've been linked to. I think that if we ended the window with Tierney and a winger, I wouldn't have any complaints, to be honest. You've got to remember that it is very difficult to get players registered for this Champions League and making sure you have the right quota and stuff. So I wouldn't be disappointed with a couple of players just as long as they're the right players.
Aye. I think I echo that, to be honest. I'm not expecting a ridiculous amount of players to come in. I think it's also about getting rid of some players. I mean, Stephen Welsh.
He's a bit.
Didn't
even talk about it.
Did we need to? No offence to the boy, but I mean, he's gone out on loan.
Aye.
It speaks for itself. Thanks for the question, Aidan. We've got Liam back again.
Liam.
Hello, Liam. He says, hello, Kieran. Happy New Year. I'm just wondering what your favourite juice is in Ryan Much Doing. What's your favourite chant and all? Cracking question. Cheers.
Much doing?
I think it's just like that, much doing. What's happening?
Yeah, right.
Well, he could have been typing this out half card 7 hours ago.
We've kind of done the favourite chant one. Favourite juice?
Lout, which is now...
I love a lout. With a Fanta.
Fanta, pineapple and grape. It's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It needs to have the branding on the outside to taste right.
I mean, obviously, as you know, in my old age, I've become very acquainted with a Pepsi. A Pepsi Max in particular.
I prefer Coke Zero.
I was always a Coke Zero man until I went to America, and I just thought Pepsi changed my life, to be quite honest. And now I find it really difficult to go back to a Coke Zero. It just doesn't have the same twang as a Pepsi Max for me now that I prefer it. But I wouldn't even say that is my favourite juice. It's up there. I don't know. I love I love a Dr. Pepper, man. You know that? I love a Dr. Pepper, and I think I'd actually call that my favourite because I don't have it that much. So when I do get it, it feels like a welcomed treat.
See, I feel like that equivalent for me is a bottle of Dunn's Limeade.
Oh, aye, that is
Glass check for that.
That is good.
So good. Let's see. We've got David Turnbull. Hope you're getting on okay at Cardiff. Happy New Year, lads. Start, bench, sell, Kyogo, Dembele, Edward at their best at Celtic.
At their best, at their very peak. That is a tough one.
I know. I seen it earlier and I was like,
shoot me.
it's such a hard one. I feel like it's harsh to
sell any of them. I'll go start Dembele, bench Kyogo, sell Edward. That's mine.
I think I'd swap Kyogo and Dembele a bit for me.
So you'd start Kyogo?
Mm-hmm. I just love Kyogo.
I mean, I love him as well.
But
I seen my dad's reaction the day when I told him about the Atlanta stuff. Like, my dad genuinely loves Kyogo. Like, I think it's the most I've ever seen him like a Celtic player in my lifetime. And when I told him the day about the Atlanta stuff and him thinking that meant he might be away, he was devastated. And I'm like, that's the kind of player we've got here, and people are just willing to watch him go. It's nuts.
There's a lot of questions that we've kind of covered. People asking about a lot based on Kyogo, and you've also got people that have asked. A few people have asked about the favourite ever Celtic player songs last chant because of last night's game. We kind of covered that. We'll end on Jude Forsyth, who has asked opinions on the Yang Gang.
It's coming to an end.
Surely,
it's coming to an end, isn't it? Listen, I can't make it more crystal than I've already made it. Like, I don't wish him to be shite, and I don't wish it not to work, but it's ran its course, and he's evidently not good enough. And I wish him all the best, and if he could have a magic wand beside his bed cabinet to turn them into a good enough player, I would wish for him to use it. Sadly, that's not how football works.
He's past the expiration date for me to sit and pretend that I care.
Right.
So,
and I've never been part of the Yang
I always
Gang.
want players to succeed at Celtic, but I think you get early indications. You're like, right, maybe you can't rate him off because he couldn't, and like the way he started, but I'm like, right, no, he's had longer than Kuhn.
I'm not going to sit here and claim that I've got an eye for a player. I'm not a coach. I'm not a manager. I'm not good enough or well versed enough in football to claim that I know a player when I see one, or know a player. I don't know a player when I don't. You know what I'm saying? But Yang is one of those players who I think the majority of people who were just being realistic with themselves judged after 4 or 5 games and went, nah. And it wasn't to be harsh, it was just sometimes they aren't good enough, and that was that.
I mean, I said that with the last question, but this one, just a simple answer I'm wanting.
Right,
Lewis, final question. Do you think KT will be a Celtic player this month, or will we have to wait till the summer?
Tough. Right now, if I'm just going to be 100% honest about it, and you're asking me in this seat as we speak, I think it'll be summer.
I think with the information given the new, probably the summer, but I'm going to be the optimist this month.
Right. I hope so. I hope so. Of course I do.
Thanks a lot for the questions.
Good questions this week. I enjoyed them.
We missed a couple, but
well, listen, we're going to be here all day. I think we've actually just coming under the hour mark, which is nice for a change. We're never usually under the hour mark. On that note, if you want more, you know what to do. Join us in the Thunder Club, because we're going to go and talk for another 20-25 minutes over there. But for this week, that's us, and it's nice to be back, Kieran. Next week, as you already mentioned, it'll be post Dundee. No, Dundee. Dundee.
Probably next Thursday.
And pre-Kilmarnock in the Cup. So hopefully 6 points by the next time we're sitting. And hopefully we go into the Cup with confidence. Any final words?
If I could get another burp out, then I would do it. But
just forget that ever happened on this episode for the sake of Kieran. He doesn't want to have that embarrassment beside him.
That's funny.
That's funny. Right, like and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in this week. If you're on Spotify, make sure to give us 5 stars. And we'll see you all next week. Ta-da.